Today I'm going to be looking at the Andante Amoroso of the Mozart K281. This is the middle movement of his B-flat sonata, and it happens to be in E-flat in the middle movement with some modulations, which we'll go over. Now, what's tricky about this is you have to know your fingering and how you're dividing your hands when you have the opening scale that's coming down. And I'm going to go very slowly to show you the fingering and how I divide the hands. You have an octave starting that's a springboard into this gorgeous descending, very floaty, flowing thirds. And it's very operatic because you have to think of voices and singing as soprano, alto, soprano and tenor, things like that. Now when you start with this octave, you don't want to slam it. You want to push into the octave, push into the octave. It's forte. But then immediately it goes to piano. And you can hear the opera here. And it fades away. 3-4 on the beat. The trill is played on the principal note. I'm going to go over how I did that descending scale. I pushed, I did these 2/3 with the right hand, then I divided my hands. I make a crescendo, but I drag my fingers to get the legato. Add the octave, inner voice, fade away. I'm going very slowly for a reason. 3-4 upstairs. Now what we have here is an Alberti bass, broken chord bass, a second theme in E-flat still, that should be drawn out and very beautiful and very floaty, flowing, in forte, but very singable forte. Less left hand, more right hand. Now sol. Back to forte. 2. Big, big, big land. This is like a duet of an opera. Back to forte with triplets, sometimes 2 against 3 in the next measure. Now these triplets that are broken chords, you don't want them to get too angular, so that's where you group the triplet and you use your wrist motion as now on these long trills I do use the principal note and I do have a resolution into the 16ths, and I'll show you what I mean. For instance, in measure 34 on this long trill. See? So it has to survive the 2 beats. So the left hand is really your conductor hand. So if your left hand gets tight, the trill probably will respond and get too compressed. So you have to really breathe. Stay very relaxed. That was better. Now I can hear when my trill is freer because my left hand is the leader hand and it's sort of framing that trill for me. So be careful with your trills that your left hand doesn't get agitated and anticipatory and cut your trill off. And that's where you have to really breathe through your triplets in your left hand, because I don't think the trill leads the left hand leads the trill. And that's important. That's an important thing, so that you get beautiful trills and they survive their complete value. And then you can have the little resolution on them. Listen to the left hand. This is a very tricky piece, requires a huge amount of control of spacing and breathing through the phrases. Now we get to the second part. I'm going to go very slowly because fingering is so critical to this sort of development section, which is the B section. I'm going to go very slowly to show you my fingering. Now here, he doesn't start the octave with a forte, he starts soft. I'm going slow purposely. You can see that trill came out good because the left hand was steady. Now forte. Very slowly. I'm going very slowly, as you can see, for learning purposes. Big phrase to there, off. Now we have a dominant B flat 7 chord. That brings us back to, by the way, all this was in B flat major. This brings us back to E flat major. Now what happens here is, the beginning idea comes back, the opening of the piece was descending thirds. Now it has a variation with triplets going down inside of the descending thirds. Now watch the fingering, this is very important. Start right hand. Divide the hands. Triple. Change here, 2-4. Very slowly, as you can tell. Back to That's an E flat 7 chord. Takes us to A flat major, which is the subdominant key. Not going to be there for long, but for now we have that second theme in the A flat major key. Bring out the right hand, roll the left hand, and very steady. Sequence. Back to E flat major. Big delay. That's a duet between a tenor and a soprano. Big push. Now 2 again, 3 after this measure. Breathe left hand. Variation. This is a very tricky piece, but one more time I'm going to go over that those descending thirds with the triplets. It's hard for you probably to see how I'm fingering this. 1, 2, divide the hands. 2-4. So this gives you a little bit of an idea. So the triplets are very flowing. You have to use your wrist to keep them and not flowing and not use so much finger action, but float your arm as I just did in all of these places.